Self-publishing a book online can be somewhat overwhelming and sometimes taxing because there's so many options and there's so little time. And if you're new to the business, you might become just overwhelmed by the option. That's why today marks the 7th part in a multiple part series about self-publishing a book online. And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite places, and that is lulu.com. So you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned to today's podcast. This is the Self-Publishing with Dale podcast, and it's episode 68. I'm absolutely tickled to death that you took a little bit of time out your day to spend a little bit of time with me, where we're going to be talking about one of the things I love to obsess over, and that's self-publishing books. Before we do roll into things, I want to let you know that today's podcast is exclusively sponsored by Lulu. You interested in self-publishing? Well, have you heard of Lulu? If you haven't, though, they've been in the game for a long time, actually since the early 2000s. And they've been providing high-quality printing for low cost and more ways than ever to connect with your audience. Best of all, everything on Lulu is completely free to use. There's no upfront costs, no hidden fees, just great print on demand to help you get the most out of your book. Just visit the sponsored link at dalelinks.com/Lulu to set up your free account today and try it for yourself. And use the coupon code DALE20 to get 20% off your print order. Yeah, it's kind of nice to get that one-time code. You want to use that. Oddly enough, they are not paying me to do today's podcast. I'd already had it on the slate. They just so happened that they worked themselves into the time slot to actually work with this. So we're talking about self-publishing books online. This is the 7th episode of this, and we're going to continue past this going into next week, and I'll let you know at the end of this podcast what we'll be talking about next week. Any event, so we know there's a lot of options out there. And one of them is Lulu. Now, what exactly is Lulu.com? Don't be confused with Lululemon. Lulu.com is completely different. Lulu Press is a fantastic organization that was founded in 2002, and it's based out of Morrisville, North Carolina. And they deliver to over 150 countries worldwide. Wow, that was something I didn't know. I had to do a little bit of deep digging, and I found it. But they do distribute ebook and print books. They do not distribute audiobooks, although that would be kind of a neat feature. However, they know what they're strong at, and they're strong at their print on demand. So let's focus on these two models here, and we're going to discuss ebooks first and foremost. Lulu handles distribution to, of course, their platform. Now, it should be noted that Lulu obviously does not have the same organic reach that it does on Amazon. So it's not like they're having millions of customers that are going to be browsing for content. So if you're immediately thinking, let me publish to Lulu because I'm going to get a ton of organic sales, nah, it just doesn't work that way. You're going to probably have to build awareness of your book over on the Lulu platform in order to see some real success there. Now, at any rate, now I got that out of the way. They distribute to Lulu, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Kobo. So that's pretty cool. We actually talked about those 3 distribution avenues, actually 4 with Amazon included, that you were able to use. Now, this past week we talked about Ingram Spark, which is an aggregate publisher. Naturally, we're talking about another aggregate publisher in Lulu, and Lulu handles these 4 avenues, and that's pretty nice. So if you're thinking about going and distributing there, this is definitely an option. And also, they provide free ISBNs through their platform. Now, you're probably saying, but I heard, Dale, you don't need to have an ISBN for your ebook. Yeah, that's true. But since you're going to be distributing through Lulu, you're going to need an ISBN. And of course, they're going to hook you up with one. That is going to be their property. So just remember that if you want to publish your ebook elsewhere, you can't take that free ISBN with you. It just stays strictly through them. Now, you can always come with your own ISBN if you wish. That's definitely possible. They will accept EPUB, and they also accept PDF for the ebooks. Now, rest assured, if you have DocX, if you have a rich text file, RTF, ODT, they will convert that to EPUB. Now, bear in mind, I haven't played with it yet, that it's not going to probably format it exactly as you wish. So if there were some things you had put together on your doc, it may not have that over on the EPUB conversion. It's kind of like when you upload your document through KDP and they have their auto converter that moves it over to a MOBI file. If you ever uploaded there before, you probably know it's like, what the heck happened to my formatting? Well, it's because it's auto-converted, and they need to have that EPUB or PDF in order to distribute it through their platform, that is Lulu. Now, the royalty structure, it took some digging. And honestly, this is one of the points that I really wish Lulu was a bit more transparent about. I tried to dig into some of their FAQs and research and even tried to find other websites, and it was real ambiguous. But what I did was I got into my dashboard and I set up a test run on their ebooks, and I was able to kind of uncover the royalty structure. Now, it varies from as low as 38% to as much as 80%. Now, of course, the 80% is when you're distributing through Lulu. So that is good. That is great. You're not going to get 80% over on KDP. You're not going to get 80% on any other platform. Lulu does that. So if you're distributing your ebook through there, that's pretty good. Now, if you're feeding off to the different areas though, so for instance, Apple, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Kobo, the royalty structure changes, and especially based on the region. And I saw that if you distribute to Amazon, what ends up happening is you get a 38% cut. And I was like, but it makes sense, because if Lulu's distributing it on your behalf, they're going to be taking a cut and then giving you what's left over. So let's just say, for instance, you're pricing your ebook, let's say at $10. You're only going to get $3.80 out of that. Well, chances are very likely if they're uploading your ebook, it's probably coming at the 70% model for them. So they're taking their cut at roughly about, that comes out to what, 32% to making an even 70%. So, I mean, that's not terrible. Might I recommend, if you're not happy with that percentage, just don't distribute it to Amazon, and you can always go directly to Amazon. That's completely up to you. Again, the beauty of having aggregate publishing is putting it into one dashboard and having it sent out to the various platforms, instead of having 5 or 50 different dashboards and having to, oh, well, I got to do a tax form here. Oh, I got to do a tax form here. Well, let me check the sales on here, here, and here. I've got to report all these back to my CPA. It becomes a nightmare. So that's why aggregate publishing doesn't one dashboard. So that's going to be one of the things you're going to be thinking about. Is it worth going and uploading to an aggregate publisher and losing a little bit of your earnings? Or should you just go ahead and do it to the various different platforms? It's up to you. Now, read the fine print, folks. There are some limitations based on this reseller model, and that's part of the reason for this whole percentage drop. And I think Amazon functions as a reseller, and I believe that a couple of the others default. You'll have to look into it. It might be Kobo, and if you choose Amazon and Kobo for distribution, Barnes & Noble automatically defaults over to the reseller mode, and of course that drops your percentage overall. Again, read the fine print before you do accept that. You'll see it as you're uploading your ebook, and it'll break down each one of those things for you. Now, the one part that I really love about Lulu is their print books. I'm gonna say this right now. I've already got it ahead in my notes, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it right now anyways. Stellar quality. Their quality is just unparalleled. I love their books. The glossy cover, the print type, I just really do dig it a lot. Now, they have distribution to Lulu, of course, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and this is the part I didn't know, Ingram. Huh, who knew? I didn't know that before actually doing this. So that means Ingram actually feeds out to thousands of different avenues. So having that option available is kind of nice. Now, they do print books, and the type of print books is just unlimited. There's so many types that I'm not going to even cover in today's podcast. There's paperback, there's hardback with a dust jacket, and there's also coil bound. And I've done some reviews of each of these products over on my YouTube channel, and rather than me gushing about them, I just say just go over to my YouTube channel, dalelinks.com/YouTube, and just look up those videos where I do an unboxing of those Lulu products. Now, the royalty cost is 80%, okay? And that means 80% sans the print cost. So let's say you've got a $10 print book and it costs $5 to print. You got $5 left over. You get 80% of that. Lulu takes 20% of that. Now, again, when you go and distribute to the various avenues, so for instance, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Ingram, they're going to take their percentage, and of course that's going to be considerably lower. So it would behoove you, if you utilize Lulu, I would recommend driving your traffic to your Lulu landing page so you get the best profits. Am I against distributing over to Amazon, Ingram, or Barnes & Noble by way of Lulu? No, not at all. Again, aggregate publishing is a fantastic model to go for. So just make sure that you're looking into that. There's a little bit of a catch. In order for you to print or distribute to other avenues off of Lulu, you do have to order a proof. You have to order a proof. This is something that's not laid into their rules. It's something that was put to from the platforms to Lulu in order for them to distribute. So if you're like thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to go and publish 5,000 no content books, good luck, because you're going to actually have to order a proof of each one of those no content books. So just a heads up, you know, you're going to have to order a proof if you want to get that distribution. So I had some people that were like getting a little miffed. They're like, I got to order a proof? You probably should order a proof anyways before you go and hit the publish to anywhere, be it on KDP or Ingram Spark or any other print-on-demand distributor. You should have a proof of anything that you're putting out, because then you can know exactly what the customer's experience. And besides, you should own one of your own books anyways. All right, and there's also miscellaneous things that are involved over on Lulu as well, including photo books, comic books, magazines, yearbooks, and calendars. Believe it or not, I actually have an behind-the-scenes footage. Actually, I think it was fully edited and everything for calendars. I did a full video of it over a year or two ago when I was doing the self-published book unboxing series. I just never uploaded. I don't know why I never did it. Their calendars are freaking phenomenal. I really like it. The card stock that they actually print on is just stellar. I was really happy with it. I would recommend, if you do utilize the calendar option, any images that you utilize, make sure it's 300 DPI or greater, because if you try to go anything below 300 DPI and having small images and trying to blow them up, it's going to look real pixelated. For me, thankfully I got some very large images, 300 DPI, it looked phenomenal. All right, now you're probably saying, this is all well and good. I've learned all this stuff, Dale. How do they pay? Okay, there's two different forms of payment. You can actually take check or you can do PayPal. You have to have a minimum threshold of at least $10 for a check. And for PayPal, it needs to be a minimum of $5. Now, here's the part that might get you hung up a little bit. And they do pay out quarterly. Okay, quarterly. That means every 3 months. So quarter one is January, February, March. Quarter two is, you know, April, May, June, and you see so on and so forth. And how they pay out, it's 45 days after a quarter closing. So 45 days after. So if you're going to get paid in quarter one, it will end up getting a payout between, let's see here, May 15th, right about May 15th. So, and you kind of rinse and repeat. Am I happy with that particular model? No, not necessarily. I would think they would probably have a better option, but I'm sure it probably has a lot to do with their aggregation and the fact they have to collect earnings, take into account for any kind of refunds or chargebacks, things like that. So it is what it is. As you know, would it be good for you? I think you're going to need to make sure you build it into your model, that you're thinking to yourself, all right, I'm going to get paid out every 3 months, so I need to make sure that I wait. You know, is it as nice of a model as, say, when you go to KDP where you get paid 60 days after the close of the month? Possibly not. But just build it into your workflow. Just know that it's there. Hey, I've got one last final tip as we start to wrap up today's podcast. I do want to bring to your attention that, you know, hey, it's my mission to positively impact over 100,000 aspiring authors and self-publishers out there this year. And the way that I do that is through not only just this podcast, but most importantly over on the YouTube channel, Self-Publishing with Dale. If you have not yet subscribed, it'd mean the world to me if you head over to dalelinks.com/YouTube and hit that subscribe. Once we hit that 100,000 subscribers, I will know that I have positively impacted your life. So if there's ever any instance that you're listening to this podcast or you're watching it over on YouTube and you think to yourself, man, I've gotten some great value out of this, I've learned something new, or my business has moved in the right direction, then do me that huge favor of going over to that YouTube channel and hitting that subscribe to show me that, hey, I have made a positive impact in your life. We're on our way to 100K in before you know it, we'll be there. And I hope that you're along with me and part of the 100K sub club. Alrighty, so here's my final tip. This was not an exhaustive coverage of Lulu. We could probably spend 2 hours just talking about some of these features. The one feature I do want to bring to your attention, the one thing I'm real super excited about, and I'm right now in production for a video for it, is the website integration. Believe it or not, you can actually have your Lulu publications integrated directly through your website through such apps like Shopify or WooCommerce or any other API that does any kind of shopping cart checkout process. And it actually is through one of their little offshoots. It's called Lulu Express. Now, they don't have as much of the product offerings on Lulu Express, but they do have the more popular ones. So if you're wanting to fulfill through your own website, instead of driving traffic to Amazon, instead of driving traffic to Lulu, you can drive traffic right over to your website. You can collect all of the sales. Yeah, that's right. All of the sales. That part gets me the most excited, that you fulfill that through there. The only thing they pull out is printing costs. Everything else is in your pocket. It's what you're going to make. That is pretty stinking cool. So at the end of the day, is Lulu worth it? I'm going to say yes, especially if you're an author that wants to go wide, if you're looking for great print-on-demand options, and most importantly, that last feature I just talked about, if you want to go 100% independent, you want to be your own boss, then this is probably one of the best options for you. And remember, hey, if you're going to order any kind of proof copies, you might want to do that with my special code, Dale20. You get 20% off in your proof copy when you do that. Hey, we're going to start to wrap up today's podcast, but before we do, I think it's just awesome and fantastic that you took a little bit of time out your day to listen to me. Do me a huge favor, subscribe or follow me on your preferred podcasting platform and leave a review. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can always leave a comment and let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. In the meantime, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I will chat with you, next week when we'll be talking about the next aggregate publisher and one of my favorites in Smashwords. Make sure you stay tuned to the next podcast next week. See you then.